Howdy, people. We are now live. Go live with Instagram. It is connected. It is connected now live. So we are seeing now how we are live on Instagram now. Here we go. Perfect. So now I'm going to log into my Instagram to live to see what's going on there. Can y'all hear me okay? Oh, can y'all hear me? What's up? Ziggy, what's up, man? Ryan Winkle. What's up, Will SAD? Man, you're on, I guess you're on Instagram every time, but every day at this time, hey. What's up, James? How are you? Are you all there? Can you hear me? Fellow Ryan. Nice to meet you, fellow Ryan. Yeah. All right. So we are live. We are here to talk about anything and anything. What's up, Mama Chi? Big text. So we are now across multiple devices. I am using StreamYard. I'm excited about that because I can actually go live from multiple locations at once. We're talking about today. I think we will talk about what people are talking about the most is the unsheltered unhoused situation, right? And what's happening with that. So I kind of made some notes on how we'll address this. Go back and forth so I can see ask questions. If you can't hear me, please say yes so I can see it on the Instagram feed. Also, if I can see it on the Facebook feed, it would be nice. So yeah, I had a person come yesterday and talk to me about unsheltered, unhoused, and what we were going to do about it, and what would my mayoral, priorities be unsheltered, unhoused. And I think it's important to talk about unsheltered, unhoused in a housing first approach as a core principle, providing permanent housing pretty quickly without preconditions would be a number one priority. What's up, Brad? Mean Mug, what's up, man? Implementation of that would be offering stable housing, followed by supportive services, wraparound services, which is mental health, substance abuse, job training, and then helping people to maintain that housing, which is generally the harder part. Once you're already in the housing, it's hard to maintain that. The other choice might be a supportive housing. What's this here? What do we got here? Okay, we got all these folks joining. What's up? So we have a decent amount today. Goes in and out for sound. Okay, try Facebook. Let me check. Sound looks like to me it's not too bad, but I think it's also because we're in a public place, and so sometimes these public places are just loud. Okay. Let me see if I can fix this really quick through this mic system. Mic, it's going to be there. The audio, mic internal is going to be the HD Pro webcam. Can you hear me now? Is that better? Talking like this? All right. Is it better like this? Is that too loud? Okay. I'm going to have it set to auto in case you hear it there. All right. Well, what's up, Nettie? How are you? Glad that you're on here. Anyways, once again, we're back to the idea of unsheltered, unhoused. We have a lot of folks who really care about that, who've been coming to me asking me these questions when I'm actually making texts. I've texted a ton of people. I know it's spam. People feel like it's spam, but it's really one of the only ways to meet folks and get them like where they're at, which is at their phone. Secondly, I do calls. I have people doing calls. Volunteers. We knock doors on a very often basis. We actually have a canvas this weekend, this Saturday. We're going to get together, and then Friday night we're going to have a meetup in person at Hope's. I'll be posting it later today, so people will see it and know it. But once again, so we're talking about housing, right? So housing first approach is my method. I think that's one of the best practices across cities all over the United States. with the core principle of being that providing permanent housing as quickly as possible without preconditions, right? And that's offering stable housing with wraparound services, and those services are addressing mental health issues, addressing substance abuse issues, job training and upskilling, and then obviously just things to do that can help people stay in that housing, which is like, you know, delivering them stuff to fill their house, right? So sometimes you get a house, you don't have a coffee maker, you don't have those basic things that you want to maintain and continue living there, right? So there's supportive housing, right? Long-term housing that includes supportive services. So we have the rapid rehousing, supportive housing, and then housing first, core principle housing. The supportive housing combines kind of affordable housing with on-site affordable case management or free case management, mental health services, employment assistance. Once again, these are case with case managers, wraparound services. All right, Nadine just got here. Rapid rehousing. So the objective there would be quickly to connect families and individuals to permanent housing through very kind of tailored packages through what might be a navigator system. I know it's busy in every single room. Hey, Nadine's here. Say hello. You have to hit it more. There you go. As you're on TikTok now, and now we got StreamYard, which is doing all, see all this, all five. We got Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. So we got all. I'm watching from the Instagram feed because that brings questions in. So I'll be able to see that. Yep, yeah. And this one's on a delay because if the Wi-Fi goes in and out, it pulls it. Who? Yeah, he came in. Yeah, he came in. Yeah, so he came in. So yeah, so we're kind of in the middle of the. What's up, Tara? How are you? Yeah, post your questions if you can. Hello, Mesa, Arizona. What's up, well, Scott? He was one of the guys that was here originally helping us to help veterans, unsheltered, unhoused veterans, to find a location to be at. We have an awesome case study of a man that he had encountered. I think it was close to Walmart. The guy was, you know, panhandling, had an addiction issue, and Oscar essentially followed around, worked him for about a year, and then, you know, over that year saying, hey, like, why don't you consider this? Why don't you consider that? If you do these things, let's go through your, you know, your whatever tickets and different, you know, things you have, and let's try to address them one by one with the court, address them with the Veterans Court, any of the services that they had possible to I guess, get over those hurdles first. Then, after those hurdles were taken care of, we started working on, okay, can you go into a like a rehab, right? Can you go into like a 10-day rehab? Because if you can do that, then we can get you into a housing situation. That happened, and then the guy eventually, after a year and a half, roughly, got housing, which was pretty amazing because normally it's really difficult to get somebody that's what they are deemed as hardcore homeless off the street and into housing. It's very difficult. So that being said, it was a success story. It was one success story, right? Once again, bear with me. This is be patient. We have these systems we're trying out. StreamYard now, thanks to all those people who replied to my cry for help. But so yeah, that was one occasion that was a success story. Let's see, Tara, are you still there? But anyways, what's up on TikTok? We're on TikTok, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, and we are on Instagram due to StreamYard. Looks like Bean Chain folks are on here. Mom and She, hope you're still there. I'm sorry that you weren't able to come in earlier and say anything. But yeah, once again, going back to these houses, this housing issue and unsheltered, unhoused, and how we work with that in the city of Mesa. Beyond the rapid rehousing, the supportive housing, and the housing first approach by providing permanent housing without any preconditions, we have things like coordinated entry systems, I know Cass has done this in the past, and the Cass housing area. This does not mean coordinated, meaning like it's all in one space. This means the housing entry system is, whether it be navigators, where we know where to feed people to. And once again, the idea of them being people, right? These are people. What's up, Danny? How are you? And Jennifer is here. Branthea, if you need really awesome branding, Branthea is the one to go to if you need to print things. That means signs, business cards, logos, car wraps. That's Prime One Designs. These are all locals. Definitely support the locals. So do we have questions about housing, or should I just keep on going? Because coordinated entry system where we streamline this access to housing, and you can actually match someone with services at the same time as you're matching them with the way to get into housing, because it's not always easy, and there's always an endless line of people trying to get into housing. We have outreach programs. The program that we've run already for a couple of years now is meeting people where they're at, and that can include going down to somewhere like Paz Cristo, sitting out there with them, understanding their issues. Sometimes they have the Veterans Court and the what do they call it? I think it's like the youth court and community court that go to Paz Cristo, and sometimes they adjudicate their issues right there on the spot, which is good. And if you can bring folks to that space to get their issues adjudicated right there on that spot, that's one more step in getting to housing. People here in Arizona know that housing in Arizona often has that box, and so if they have to ban the box for people that have criminal issues on their record that won't let them in housing. What's up, Smash the Ego, Adam Garza? How's it going? Nice. We got our documentarian working on this. I hope you can all hear, since it's kind of loud in the whole building. It's all right. We can go over this again later. Maybe I'll make a very specific thing on unsheltered, unhoused, and see what's happening, and let people know. Okay, so where are we at now? We're now at, let's see, check my notes here, the things I wrote down earlier. So emergency shelters. The city of Mesa has purchased a hotel, which they are now using to do unsheltered unhoused services and wraparound services, and early housing, right? Immediate housing, immediate housing. That is a good example of what we can be doing and should be doing. And I think, thank you, Oscar. Thank you very much. It's a great idea. But these emergency shelters and navigation centers, they're short-term solutions, right? It's providing temporary, safe shelters like a sleeping lot. I mean, right by my house, I talk about this a lot. There's 2 cars that are always parked there, and these are working people that are parked in their cars and going to work the next day, and that's where they live. That sucks, right? And then low barrier shelters with access to comprehensive services. These services, once again, in every one of these housing situations, need to be comprehensive, right? It needs to address mental health issues. It needs to address addiction issues, and it needs to address, how you're going to eventually get back into, paying rent, paying for food, paying for the things that you need, and creating a life for yourself that's meaningful. Then we also can do preventative messages, right? It's beyond the response. We're talking about prevention, eviction prevention, rental assistance that stops that, mediation services, mediation that works from tenant landlord issues. I currently run the Arizona Fair Housing Center with this awesome team, and the team is consistently helping folks not to get evicted on almost like a daily basis. This is important. We're also now starting our housing counseling services, where we work on their financial literacy, their credit building skills, how they're going to pay for things, meaning upping their incomes and upskilling. These are all pieces of prevention from someone getting unhoused and unsheltered. The last thing that we probably think of, a couple different things, is how we collaborate with nonprofits, how you create public-private partnerships in this. There's a lot of groups that are already kind of doing these things and getting federal funds. to help unsheltered and unhoused folks. And, you know, I mean, if they're already doing something, we shouldn't be recreating the wheel. We probably just need more of it. More of it. There's never enough time. There's never enough money to address all the unsheltered and unhoused folks and what they need. What's from Italy, man? Wow, that is a lovely space to be at. I think my cousin used to rent a apartment in Spain every summer, and he would take his kids, and as a family, they would kind of live there, and he would work remotely, and he would often visit Italy. And says Italy and Spain have the best food. Love everything about it. I hope to go. I think that'll be this one. What's up, Michelle? How are you? We are having a canvas this weekend on Saturday at Hava Java, 8:30 a.m. It's for those East Mesa folks that want to come out and visit us. 8:30 a.m. Hava Java. It will be fun. You don't have to canvas. We would like you to, because the more voters we can talk to, the better. But that's a problem. That's a thing that we are trying to do. The problem is the heat. Okay. Any questions still? So Noah, how are you, sir? A huge part of this too, I think, is we don't collect enough data on what's working and what's working across the city in larger, larger amounts, right? So if we're talking about, a point in time homeless count of 200 people, right? And like that would ever be a really good indicator of what homelessness looks like, because a lot of folks who are unsheltered or unhoused often are just living on somebody's couch, often living in their car, still working, still going to school. A lot of times you'd never even know, right? And so back to the whole idea of prevention, using nonprofits and working with people to prevent evictions, prevent leaving a house or that happening due to loss of a job or any kind of other income support, but also working on upskilling, because right now housing is just getting more expensive. It's not getting cheaper. So we have to really work on folks' ability to own homes, purchase, buy, own homes, build their credit, understand what lending looks like, and then figure out on a larger scale. And I don't know, maybe someone can put a thumbs up or thumbs down to this, but if large corporations can employ a bunch of people and have a health plan, how come the city cannot do that? I talked to a health plan designer recently, and I said, hey, can a city, because you have certain zip codes and people have similar health issues in certain zip codes, can you have your own health plan? Why wouldn't we have our own health plan? If you're already part of the city and these decisions that we're making, policy decisions we're making, are affecting somebody's health. So see y'all later. Have a great one. Then we should actually be maybe helping to provide something that could do that. I mean, why is a health plan always linked to somebody's job? Yeah, let's reach here real quick. Jarrods provides the powerful cold brew. It's funny because he actually closes early on Wednesdays, so that's why he came here earlier at 4. And that the house here, the coffee shop is full. I mean, it's packed. Every single room, every single seat is pretty much packed. Even the folks that we have here to meet and talk are basically don't have a seat because it's so crowded here. So if he thinks he's actually going to close early today, I highly doubt that's going to happen.
Jarrod can close it.
Well, he said he was going to close it early, like you guys 5. And I was like, the house is so full, there's no way you're still making room,
Yeah.
But anyways, so yeah, back to housing, unsheltered. Any other questions? Any thoughts? With using StreamYard now, I am actually not able to see what people are saying, what, and where. So, I mean, I can, but I got to flip back and forth everywhere. So, and I can see, it's all right. It's a learning experience, right? It's a learning experience. I wonder if I can bring somebody on through StreamYard
How can we canvas?
Oh, where was that at? Is that on Instagram? All right.
Noah?
Oh, great. Yeah. So guess what? So Noah, good question. This Saturday at Hava Java at 8:30 a.m. We will meet at Hava Java with a bunch of other candidates. Will probably be there, so you can meet some of them and you can canvas for me. Or if you want to meet at any time during the week, we also have a distributed phone calling system. And that distributed system, what we do is we give you a list. It finds the people closest to you that that would like to vote or participate, and then you can just call them down the list with your own phone, and it's kind of like a next kind of system.
This Saturday.
8:30, yeah. And there'll be a number of candidates there. I'm actually going to be posting a event. Yeah, and it's in East Mesa. It's like on Power and like I don't know. It's on Northeast Mesa. So Hava Java, Northeast Mesa. All right, I joined. At-risk teens. Yep, that's a great point, Oscar. At-risk teens, aiding in foster care are a huge portion of folks who are becoming unsheltered and unhoused, as well as veterans that have issues around PTSD and stuff like this. So, hold on 1 second. My son was calling.
Looks like I found the phone call.
Mondo?
Noah James.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Noah James, will you just direct message me and I will, with your phone number, and I will get you one of those lists. It's really easy. It's actually kind of fun because it's usually people around you, so you kind of meet neighbors at the same time that you're doing like what you're trying to do with helping. Hey, hold on. My son's trying. Yes, sir. Mommy's looking me up, and I'm online right now, so I gotta talk to you a little bit later, okay? I'm live. Look, see, I'm live right now on the YouTube. But I'm gonna call you, okay, later. Call mommy. Yeah, I gotta go. Okay. See you later.
If you can't find it, let me know.
Okay. Sorry, kids call it, you gotta answer because you never know what that might be. It could just be them being annoying and saying hello to you. It could be them having an incident. Just never know. So yeah, okay. Any other questions around unsheltered, unhoused brothers and sisters? Every time. So I actually think I'm gonna record just the whole thing on it, and then we can
read about them, which is nice to hear.
Yeah. So I did a text today of some amount of people, and when I do these texts, I get it called back to my number, so I'm answering them all myself. I got 95 replies today, and so I spent a good amount of this morning just replying to people who had questions about unsheltered, unhoused, city services, shade and heat, and water issues, all these different things that are happening. All right, Noah, we'll definitely give that to you. Thank you for posting that up there. But yeah, so people are responding, which is great, and that's why hopefully I'm trying to drive folks to this kind of live stream, because we're here live at a place where you can come and talk and hang out at the same time where we can talk to you in your home or on your phone and answer questions. The final vote is July 30th, so we have 6 more days. I have 6 days essentially to talk to as many folks as I can, share ideas, talk about stuff, because the top two vote getters will move on to the general. I think I've said this before, but we have good data that shows we are in a pretty strong second place. Maybe first, depending on what the data actually says, because when you do polling, it's very difficult to actually extrapolate what that means, because these pollings are sometimes likely voters, and likely voters might be one type of people sometimes. And so we could go into a whole nother thing about that. What's up, Herrera? Jody Johanna, what's up? Thank you once again, James. Noah James, sorry. All right, Nettie, you still there? It is always full, isn't it? It is always full. Yeah, what else? What else? Tomorrow at Bean Chain at 4:30. I actually got two people who, when I was texting today, had responded and said, I will be there tomorrow because I have very serious questions about mental health, like what we can talk about mental health and what kind of study do. I keep on going back to the idea that the city has a, you know what, you can mention here, Canvas, yep, there you go. Thank you, Jennifer. But the city has these TV and like media services, and I have to admit that I don't feel like they use their social media in a way that's engaging. They use it in a way. They use it in a way that to put information out without trying to receive information back, right? So there was one post that I thought was very interesting because it was about code violations, and if you see something, say something, and talking about your neighbor, and like, hey, if you don't like how they clean their front yard, you can call, right? And one of the things that I've always had an issue with the city is that they will city initiate code violations against neighbors and neighborhoods all at once, right? And small businesses. And these code violations against small businesses and neighborhoods generally tend to be in the low, moderate income census tract areas that have never had attention for a long time and purposefully didn't have attention for a long time through the city policies. Am I saying that, oh, you know, all these city executives, blah, blah, they're racist? And no, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that they have just put their resources and their focus to other places, right? And a lot of times that focus is because folks in those areas that know how to be a squeaky wheel, that know the channels to get attention, are the same folks that have been getting that attention and know those channels for a long time. And it's time for these neighborhoods that haven't gotten that kind of attention to finally get it, right? And so that's one of the big pieces of my platform, is to help places like Washington Escovado, which is the northwest side of Main Street. Help areas like Southside Mesa, which is the Broadway corridor Mesa. These are places, the Asian district, right? These are all places that have very strong small business corridors. And if you look at the tax maps of the city of Mesa, there is more sales tax coming out of West Mesa and all these areas than almost the whole rest of the city. So the fact that these areas are treated worse but contribute more, to me, I think is unacceptable, and also not good policy, right? This is something that we can address just through city services alone. The city is a service; it needs to act like a service. What else? What else have we got? Safety on the rail system. That's a pretty good question. A lot of people talk about light rail. I think we should have to discuss light rail first with some context, right? Thank you, Oscar. You're always full of good questions. The light rail is set up as a public good. So much like a park, right? So a park is a public good. We don't have a quarter taker at the front of a park to say, hey, in order to come play at this park, you need to put quarters in here, right? So equally, I feel like public transportation, although we do like require money to use it, should be free or next to free, right? And people say, well, how are you going to pay for all that? Well, we already do. We all pay taxes. We pay into the transit taxes. It's important that we know you're already paying for most things that you're saying, how are we going to pay for that? Tax money is just used in terrible ways for, you know, pet projects and things like that, where it could be used better to help people. What else we got? What's up, Shannon? What's up, Ali? What's up, Jackie? Welcome back. So far, just to kind of give some context, we've gone over a bunch of stuff for unsheltered, unhoused. My ideas for housing first as a policy with low barrier to entry on it, which is, you know, supportive housing, rapid rehousing, coordinated entry systems and navigators, outreach programs, or should I say engagement programs, because outreach really is throwing information out there, not necessarily like meeting someone where they belong or where they live. Preventative measures, prevention is a huge thing. I know you need to do all these different things to make housing and homelessness work, and then using a lot of data, financial coaching, and housing counseling, and then whatever you can do to do healthcare services. We talked about what can a city do to create its own healthcare system. If a job can provide healthcare, why can't a city? Right? That's my thoughts. I can be proven way wrong on this, but I think it would behoove us to look into that. The city already has a health center that they've created for employees. So why wouldn't we expand that, right? Does that mean the city's getting into health services? Not necessarily. That could be a public-private partnership once again. It could be a multitude of public-private partnerships. And once again, you'll say, how are we paying for all this? You already are paying for it. And if we aren't paying for it in prevention, we're paying for it in hospitals, we're paying for it in police and arrests and violence, or paying for it in the jails, because we use private jail systems. What's up, Victor? Brother man, AB Fit Stone Street. I see you keep on popping in, so I'm glad to see you here. What else? What else we got? Safety in the rail system. Oh yeah, back to that question. So I think a couple years ago, the city implemented a police on bikes. Is it helpful or is it harmful? That's the question. From what I saw, I think people need to remember that the city council sets direction and kind of like the way they want their policy to go. The city manager executes on that direction, and then the police chief is hired by the city manager. Okay, so when people are getting mad about the police chief and this and that, and the police are doing this, it's because the city manager is executing on what the city council in there has dictated is what they want to be the direction based on what they are supposed to be gathering from their districts, their people. Is that what happens? I mean, there's a lot of folks out there that would say no. There are some people who would say yes. But at this point, we are definitely seeing a lot of spotlight on Arizona policing. And specifically right now, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office is under a lot of pressure to be compliant all the time in order to even get out of the mess they're in. And the city of Phoenix is now in trouble with the Department of Justice. I don't want to see that in Mesa. Under my leadership, we would take a totally different way of policing. It's not an enforcement way of creating behavior, but an empowerment way of creating behavior. Police don't necessarily have to be out there to harass you or bug you. They can be out there to empower you and help you do the right thing. Help you. I think, okay, just like when you're a teacher or you're a parent, you're hoping to catch your students or your kids doing the right thing, right? And then acknowledge them for that. If we're sitting there pulling people over for jaywalking and stuff like that, just to find out if they happen to have marijuana on them illegally, I think that's really a bad use of our time and resources. All right, Oscar, you got some more on that one? I don't know. I saw you popping some questions. But that's just my opinion. I mean, I'm open to any suggestions. I've had some officers chime in. I'm friends with some officers, and they think, they also believe that, they're under pressure to do a lot of things that maybe they shouldn't be doing. So we should actually maybe have a very specific meetup, and maybe we can find some officers that are willing to talk, even if it's kind of like anonymously, about what policing is like. And from a police side, maybe that's a smart thing for us to do if we could find someone to be like a masked individual, or I don't know, even if they want to just talk about policing, period. What's up, Holly? What's up, Mr. Scruggs? How you doing? What else do we got? We got a few folks on TikTok still. We got folks on Instagram, a few folks on Facebook still. Questions. We are live here at Jarrod's. education of the public. And you're good at this. Maybe we should have you do a Q&A and host one. Oh, Oscar Escobedo, he's on here. He's asking questions. So what people can and can't do, I think it would be very worth the city's while. The city as in like, the person making the effort to create kind of engagement tactics that allow for folks to. What do you mean by live record defeat eligibility? Okay, fine. Anyways, to help folks to learn how to work in the city, right? And this all comes down to the empowerment. An example, in Southside Mesa, we've been working with the neighborhood, and we meaning like the group that I work with. We have one of the most important folks with us today, and she's a young lady. She has lots of good ideas, and she's full of laughter and joy. What are some of your questions? We'll skip for a second.
What are your questions?
As a kid,
What would you expect?
what did you expect from somebody that controlled your city, or empowered your city, or
What are you worried about?
yeah. So the answer. So what we did is we asked. Do you want her name now? So we have a 10-year-old here. We won't say a name just maybe because I don't know. I've seen all these weird things about kids.
Right.
My
name is Mustard.
Mustard. Okay, so Mustard is here. She's 10 years old, and we said, "What's your worries? What would you expect of somebody who is like taking care of your city or in charge of your city?" And she said her biggest worries are two things. One being unsheltered, unhoused people and what's happening to them, and why can't we do something about it? And the second thing is painkillers that turn into very powerful and fatal drugs that can kill kids, parents, actually all kinds of people, right? What do they say? It's like 1 every 11 seconds or something like that is dying right now over painkillers. I actually had a conversation with my son yesterday, and growing up, like you go to parties and you do things, right? And I was telling my son, I'm like, whatever you do, like have a good time, but only like drink your own drink. Only like if you do happen to experiment with drugs, only do your own things. Like don't just take stuff from people, because nowadays people even lace marijuana with fentanyl and it's killed people. And so that's a very scary thing. And so actually just recently there was a giant fentanyl bust in Mesa, a massive fentanyl bust in Mesa. And this is a very good point to revert back to the idea of policing. Okay, policing and police spend their time seeking out fentanyl, investigating fentanyl, tracing people back to fentanyl sales, fentanyl movement, as well as anything that has to do with anyone harming children. Those two things, I think, really are the most important things of all. Other than that, white collar crimes like money stealing from small businesses and people, and banks being the ultimate looters of all time. Sorry that I say that, but it's true. That's where police should be involved. I think the whole jaywalking, with that, maybe that's a way to like figure out things, but that's really the lowest of our issues, right?
She asked about like prioritizing family and kids.
Another one of Mustard's issues, once again, 10-year-old, is prioritizing families and kids. I had a person in East Mesa. He's a grandfather now, and he said, remember back in the day when you used to be able to do sports and the city had programs and they were either cheap, like free or very cheap. And I was like, yeah, I used to be in those programs and it was great. And I got to actually do a number of things. Even like, I think Mesa actually had a clay making class that was very cheap, ceramics. I did judo, I did soccer, all these kinds of things. But nowadays, it's like minimum $80 minimum to even kind of enter a program. And then you got to buy the equipment, you buy, the gi, the soccer ball, the clay, whatever the artist supplies you need. And so I definitely think we need to go back to bringing those kind of programs and making things for families to do. It's strange now because in your neighborhoods, we go into our house, you pull into your garage, you go home, you get out of your car, you go into your garage door, and you never see your neighborhoods and your neighbors and your people in your neighborhood. So the idea, and back to Mustard's plan here, is to encourage neighborhood engagement, which is right back to Oscar's question. The more neighbors are involved in their neighborhood, the less crime there is. I'll give you a good statistic that I just learned. So the Asian Chamber of Commerce twice a year now does the Asian District night markets, right? And so we did that. We started the Asian District. We got it kicked off. We helped brand it. And that was all through this Asian District and small business technical support programs we had. Okay. So we moved that around now. We've moved it to Glendale. We've done some things. We've founded a space on 19th Avenue in Camelback where we are now calling it the International District, right? We are working with the city to designate it as this district, have some overlays, and that corner on an average weekend has 23 emergency calls for service, okay? On an average weekend. On the weekend the night market was there, they had 4 calls for service. So what does that tell you? Okay, that means there was more people doing things, there was more excitement, there was alcohol served there too. So that could have easily, gotten out of control and become something crazy and wild. But what that means is that eyes on the street in an area and neighbors doing things together, it brings down crime because people are doing things together, right? They're looking at each other, looking at the street, they're out there in the streets, they're being joyous, they're spending money in the businesses. So they're now there to see if there's a crime happening and prevent it. And crimes and things like this happen less when people are around. So back to Mustard's point and Oscar's point, if neighborhoods and families are more involved, there's a lot less crime and there's a lot less violent actions happening. Good one, Mustard.
Barbecue.
Okay, barbecue is next. It's the new name.
Is there enough people online for you to ask them questions? Do you think it would hurt or
Yeah.
behoove you to openly be running as the Democratic candidate? Do they feel at this time it would hurt you or help you?
Okay, hold on. I did have a question that separates. Okay, what separates you from the other candidates? Holly, thank you for that question. I mean, that's very easy. Have you looked at them? Have you looked at their policies? Sorry, I laugh only because I've been in a few public forums with them, and a big difference. Number one is that when I speak about unsheltered, unhoused people, I speak about them as people and people that are having an issue and need help. All of my competitors speak of them as somebody that needs to be arrested and forcefully done something with, aka they need to go into counseling, or they need to go into housing, and if they don't, then we arrest them. And so that's an issue. That's a big difference for me. Secondly, I've been working with hundreds of small businesses for years now, and I very specifically am putting all my focus into small business and neighborhoods, unlike my competitors who are focusing on the bigger corporate picture, large developers, big developments, corporate entities, and I'll give you an example of that. One of my competitors, the one that raised the most money through corporate donations, he's very big on, I brought Apple here and I brought these other corporations. The issue when you bring someone like Apple here, and for them it's a data center, which means they brought almost zero employment, and they use a ton of water, and because data centers use a bunch of water, and then their employment, their positions, aren't always the highest paying positions. So what we're doing is we're giving up a bunch of city space to a large corporation who is then hiring people for wages that generally won't pay for rent, and then shipping all the money they make and the ingenuity that they get to California. And so nothing against California, but I want to keep the ingenuity and our dollars here. So another thing that separates me is that I'm a I am the most supportive of small business and giving small business the support that they need to exist, expand, and flourish. Neighborhoods. I guarantee none of my candidates have walked the neighborhoods as much as me. I've been to almost every neighborhood or precinct. Walking around, I actually got a pair of boots at the beginning of this campaign and I took a picture of the bottom, and then I will take a picture at the end of the campaign, and I guarantee you there will be a hole war in them. The first campaign that I did, I knocked 10,000 doors myself, and there was a big hole in the bottom that I, took a picture before and after to show people that I'm actually walking, knocking to folks. I went on a radio show last night, and they're asking me all these questions like, oh, we're going to grill this guy. We're going to find out what he's truly about. And they said, so like, what are you going to do about our neighborhoods and this? And the guy jumped up and was like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I own this business. I said, oh yeah, I just walked your neighborhood because I saw your food truck sitting in your driveway. You're over by Mesa Drive, right? He's like, yeah. And they're like, holy crap, you really are walking around Mesa. So that's another huge difference. And then one of the biggest things is that I am so accessible that I'm making these lives, these in-person visits, these neighborhood walks. Every single day I'm out doing something openly, public, letting everyone know where I'm in, what I'm doing, because you can come and talk to me and ask me something. I dare you, I challenge you to go find any of my competitors anywhere, and see if you can reach out to them and call them. We had a person named Oops, I Broke My Neck, a woman in a wheelchair. She is very concerned with like ADA issues, and she reached out and said, hey, I'm going to reach out to all the candidates, and I'm trying to get interviews with all of them. And then she said right away, you're the only one that answered. Everyone else didn't answer. The other two of my competitors responded later, but probably just because she called them out later saying, oh, this guy actually answered, right? So, I mean, that's another thing. What's up, Danielle?
Also, the statistics for 143 years, only 3 mayors have not been conservative, and you can see in our economic lack of growth.
Yep. So we've had a conservative and top-down style of economic development for 142 years in Mesa. I will break that as mayor, and I will do top bottom up form of economic development where we invest in our neighborhoods and our small businesses, which has been proven actually in every city that's done that to create a better economic condition for the people in the neighborhoods. What's up, Sarah Meany? How are you?
I think the other candidates too kind of try to hide the status of Masons or addressing the issue. They're almost like ashamed of it and pretend it doesn't exist instead of like addressing it. How you said there's like an identity crisis here.
Yeah.
There isn't like something Mesa's known for. So instead of looking for it, they just pretend that that's not real.
Right. So what the comment was, if you didn't hear it, is that one of the things working in West Mesa so long and Mesa period is that I've come to realize that Mesa has a kind of an identity crisis, right? Like most people don't know what Mesa is or what it's for. Not only that, most people do not want to accept that the median income in West Mesa is around $32,000 a year. That's nothing, right? And in the East Mesa, it's a little bit higher, but it's nowhere near Gilbert, Tempe, Chandler, Scottsdale, and Queen Creek, right? And those are the cities that surround us exactly. And why is that? That's because of policy over time. We could easily be a much higher median income city, but what does that also come with? That comes with displacement. And how do we? I'll give you kind of a good outcomes and goals for myself. If I think in 10 years that the median income has gone up and the people that are in the neighborhoods have stayed there and stayed the same, that means I know that we've done a good job. If the people have basically come from other places, bought like beat down houses and then put them all back together and then sold them for a higher amount, so we've imported our wealth. We haven't actually built the wealth. And so I think that's another thing that separates me a lot from the folks that are running. What's up, Brave New Beauty, Evie? I hope you can all actually see this. I don't really know what's happening now that I'm using StreamYard. I'm going to have to do better at this whole streaming thing.
Did you ask about the hurt you or help you?
Okay, so yeah, folks out there, right now, the city's mayor race is nonpartisan. We take a very nonpartisan approach. I am very pro third party, getting on the ballot, having the access to making decisions and voting in the primary. But while that being said, it is still a very partisan race, meaning, the two parties control elections and how elections work. So do you think it's good for a city candidate to run on a party platform? I'll put that out to you. Anyone think anything? Mr. David, Marianne? I don't know. I guess nobody has any thoughts on that. Or I'm on a lag.
Well, also we can post to post. You'll get more.
Oh yeah, you know what? Maybe I will. Maybe I'll break this whole thing up afterwards and go in little sections. It allows fundraising and marketing. That is very true. I mean, in my case, that may be or may not be true, because I've had over 100 donors so far, and I would say it's pretty broken up by. I wouldn't say one party's given more to me than others.
But also because it's been in your own circle. So
right.
It hasn't been outed.
True.
People are looking for this blue wave. That's kind of what the conversation is. People are looking for where they can support that, and then they know that that's you. It's not something you've been attached to because you're just a person. You
Correct.
don't care about politics, but
That's true, Sarah. That is very right. It allows access to fundraising and marketing, and it provides parties help to provide it with organizing, and there are definite perks of being involved with parties. No comment. Oh, Scott Asparagus says no comment. What's up, Easy Food Guy? How are you? Thanks for coming on today. I appreciate it. What else? We have a few more minutes. I'm actually going to go, and I think after this, I'm going to find a quieter space and do a whole thing around. Yes, I would love to see more third-party candidates. It is my goal, as the future mayor of Mesa, to run candidate trainings at least twice a year, in hopes that when the mayor and city council races and school board races come around again, we will have 30 candidates to begin with that whittle down until finally we have two awesome candidates that have been basically sharing ideas amongst those 30 original candidates of multiple whatever parties or backgrounds, and then allow that. I mean, I don't know how you feel about ranked choice voting, but I think that's also a great option for a city to start with too. I was pushing Mesa actually to do ranked choice in 2016, but it's never really caught on for whatever reason. Although there's lots of folks now that are pushing for ranked choice voting and open primaries, but open primaries also, I think, has a whole different kind of, I don't know, political leaning thing on it, or a political aspect of it. Definitely, one of the things about the city of Mesa's boards, they're funny because, yeah, man, right choice all the way up there. Citizen boards in Mesa are interesting because I think, and I don't think this, I know this, I've talked to a lot of the members of the boards, they feel like they have no actual real input or outcome on what happens to those boards, because they feel like they're there for vanity, right? So the city's bought check saying, oh, we have a community development board. Oh, we have a zoning and planning and zoning board. We have one of those. And, they put their 2 cents in. But at the end of the day, if you look at, our current mayor and council, they've been celebrated as affordable housing champions. I would encourage you once again and challenge you to go look up how many affordable, and I mean affordable meaning LIHTC or any of the affordable housing programs have been passed through the Planning and Zoning Committee to the council to have a vote in the last 8 years. I would challenge you to do that, because you'll see there's been next to none. So once again, you're right, Sarah. They need to have training, and they actually need to have teeth. I mean, it's a huge thing. I talked to a gentleman yesterday that's on he was on the audit board, and I'm like, how's it going? And I'm like, let me guess, you've never met? And he's like, no, we've never met, and I've been on it for 1.5 years. And I said, I wonder why that is. I'm the audit board of all boards, right? So, I mean, there you go. That's the way, the Mesa way. Oh my gosh, another thing that happened today, and this happened now twice. So I have a friend who works with unsheltered individuals, unsheltered in a house, and she called and she said, hey, I need a referral. I keep calling the City of Mesa line for the navigators, and it keeps rerouting to 211. And I'm like, yep, that's the Mesa way, because guess what? When they did the housing, the fair housing line, it rerouted to the AZ Fair Housing Center, which is my phone number. So I was like, and I called them and I asked why they're rerouting. They're like, oh, because we're partners. And I'm like, I don't remember us ever entering into an agreement where you help pay us for our service or help keep us alive or contribute to this. And I don't mind it because it's great that the service is coming because that's what we do. But don't say that you're a navigator service, and don't say that you do fair housing if all you're doing is rerouting with blindly, with what's happening. And by the way, I'm not like bitter or angry about this. I'm just saying this needs to change, and it needs to change quickly, because right now it's not helping people. A few more minutes. Any thoughts, questions? What's up, Brenda? Eden? We are once again here at Jarrod's Coffee. It is 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock today. They close earlier on Wednesdays at 5 o'clock. And we have an event tomorrow at Bean Chain at 4:30. Same thing. We're going to be live, but also, come visit live in person. We have a Friday event at Hope's from 5 to 7. You're going to see multiple candidates there. I just got to confirm just now, by the way. Sorry. 211. It's like the homeless line, right? How about a reliable power grid, right? That's right. Microgrids are the thing I've been looking at for 2 years. I would love. There's a whole report that I was part of writing called, neighborhood resilience, and how we use microgrids, community solar, all these different things to make neighborhoods more resilient, so that when something bad happened, like a heat blackout or like in Texas when all those people were cold and froze to death. A lot of brownouts in the City of Mesa Electrical. I mean, not to mention horrible Wi-Fi coverage. Hopefully that whole new Google Fiber will help with that. So I should post those reports about resilience hubs. Better power grids. So tomorrow night, 5 to 7 at Hope's in person. You'll meet a bunch of candidates there. It'll be a good time. Saturday morning, Hava Java, 8:30 a.m. I'm sure there's something also Saturday midday and Saturday probably evening. And Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, Sunday morning special, back live, streaming like this. Once again, it is July 30th when you have to vote. Please do so. It's very important to help me get to the primary. It's a highly contested race, and I'm up against, big dog, big money, lawyer money, developer money, and I am coming from these Mesa streets where, my average donation is probably $20 by over 100 people at this point, and their donations are around $6,000 by 30 people. So that's what we're up against. It's the good old-fashioned money versus people. So let's have the people win. Any last thoughts, closing questions? What's up, Hugo? I'm using StreamYard. It seems to be good so far. The only issue that I think that I'm having with StreamYard is that it's hard for me to read the comments across multiple platforms. But I think Ita, Udo, Emma, another locally famed streaming live guy with YouTube, came and kind of showed me that I needed to have help that comes and monitors the questions in the chats and all that stuff like that. So there you have it. Thank you, Hugo, for all your help as well. Dude, I love Men's Show. I love Men's Show. They were amazing. What's up? He's probably paranormal. I'm actually sitting here now. A whole group was in here talking about the ghost, measurements that you did the night here, the overnight at Jarrod's. And it was like 8 people that were talking about this whole place and saying, "Oh my God, like this place is haunted." And it was like this used to be train tracks, and it was like a train operator. It was awesome. Yes, Sonia Massey. That is total BS. That is police overreach, overreaction, escalation. On Sunday, I will be visiting AZ Black Runs, Black AZ Runners. They meet at 7:30 every Sunday at Tempe Town Lake, and they will be doing a Sonia Massey event this weekend on Sunday. On Saturday, they're doing an all-black business event in what used to be Pure Jersey Joy, which was a customer of ours in Tempe. But I'll be dropping back there. They're doing a backpack event. I'll be dropping by, getting some of that juice. And yeah, so it's going to be a very busy next 6 days. 6 days in the primary. So please vote. Please tell your friends to vote. Get out there, participate. Go to winkleformayor.com. And please check out the events calendar. Check out ways you can be part of it. All right. Well, thank you all. I will now be ending this stream. Jarrod is closing. Peace.